Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the August 1st meeting of the Mojave County Public Lands and Recreation Commission. Mr. Martin, if you lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you do the roll call, please.
Absolutely. Chairman Lingenfelter.
Here.
Commissioner Barlow.
Here.
Commissioner Diaz.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner Strecker.
Here.
Director Letowski.
Here.
And we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. The first business item on our agenda today is a presentation by Unisource Electric. Would you like to come up to the podium? Oh, okay. Okay, great.
If IT can get him.
IT, can we pull that presentation up, please?
Good morning, Chair Lingenfelter. This is Stephen Eddy. Can you all hear me?
Good morning, Stephen. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Excellent. That is great. You never know with IT, so glad we could get this going. Good morning, and again, my name is Stephen Eddy. I'm the Director of Public Affairs for Unisource Energy Services. I actually have Penny Lyons in the hearing room this morning in person. So if there are any questions or items that may come up during the presentation, she is there for assistance. But again, my apologies for not being there or being able to make it in person. But really appreciate the opportunity for us to present this morning and give this commission a general overview of some of our resources and notably our current and future renewable projects that we've got in and around the state, including Mojave County. I know that there was a presentation earlier this month by my colleague at MEC, and so I'm glad he was able to present and provide some background on Mojave Electric's efforts in and around their service territory. But again, look forward to just providing you a just basic background as to where we're going. So next slide. All right, so just a general overview as to who we are, and I know most of you know who we are, but just again, by way of background, we service most of Mojave County outside of the areas that MEC serves, so Kingman, Lake Havasu City, but we also service parts of Santa Cruz County as well. So as part of those service areas, we have a little over 100,000 customers, service area of almost or well over 800 or 8,000 square miles, and about a 261,000 population that we serve. And we've got great employees. Those are the folks that keep the lights on, and 152 employees call Mojave and Santa Cruz County home for us. With the current resources that we've got for Unisource Electric, and again, I know this was something that was asked by this commission and was brought up with MEC earlier this month, but we have about 49% of our resources coming from purchase power. And Chair Lingenfelter, I think you had made the comment at the last meeting that, you know, electrons are electrons and they go where they please. And so we purchase about almost half of our electricity from the market. So they could come up from a variety of resources, coal, gas, solar, wind, wherever those electrons may be coming from. We have about 30% coming from natural gas, notably our Black Mountain Generating Station south of Kingman, as well as the Gila River plant in the Gila Bend area, as well as our Valencia power plant down in Nogales. For our renewable energy resources, that makes up about 20% of our energy mix coming from a variety of resources around the Mojave County area, as well as other parts of the state, including Santa Cruz County and Cochise County as well. And I'll get to those projects on the next slide. So this is just a list of our current renewable energy projects that we have that serves UES customers. I won't go through the whole list of projects that we have here, but again, knowing the role of this commission and the important role that it plays in the county, all the projects that are listed here are on private lands. And so we've worked with developers who have helped build these projects, as well as a few that we have built ourselves. And we go through a siting process or a entitlement process to ensure that we are meeting all local codes and building requirements for these projects. I will say that the one project that we actually is not on private land, but is actually on school district land, is the Los Cenitas School solar project that's there in Kingman. It's a small project, about 6 acres, and provides about 1 megawatt of electricity. That is the one project that is not on private lands, but it is a great partnership that we have with the school district and that school to provide a hands-on learning experience for how electricity is generated. Probably the most recent project that we have in our portfolio is the Grayhawk Solar Project that is just north of Kingman. That is about 46 megawatts and covers an area about 800 acres. And that was commissioned in 2018. So that is the list of our current energy projects. If we go to the next slide, I wanted to provide a general overview of our all-source request for proposals process. And I had actually provided a similar overview and update to the Planning and Zoning Commission about a year ago on this all-source RFP process that we go through in order to meet the demand that we see within the communities that we serve, including Kingman and Lake Havasu. And the all-source RFP process is it's a competitive process where we solicit bids from developers to meet the requirements or the needs that we have for our load. And if you see at the top of the page there, as part of the request for proposals, we've requested about 175 megawatts of renewable energy, 200 megawatts of firm capacity. So, right, that's energy that can be delivered instantaneously over long periods of time. So think natural gas, or in some cases, battery storage or energy storage. We expect, as part of this all-source RFP process, to hopefully have projects in the ground by summer 2027 to serve the customers that we have in Mojave County. And again, this process, this competitive process, is part of our integrated resource plan. That is a required process as part of that's overseen by the Arizona Corporation Commission. And so this all-source RFP process is in alignment with those goals that we've identified in our most recent IRP, which was submitted in 2023. So on the next slide, just a little bit more detail with respect to that all-source RFP process and where we're at. We are completing evaluations and are having discussions with select private developers on those projects that they've bid in for. None of those projects that we are soliciting are in Mojave County. And I provided this map here just to give you some type of context, right? When we're trying to interconnect large projects, whether they be renewable or other firm capacity resources, we want to ensure that we are tying into the existing transmission system that serves our customers in Mojave County and Santa Cruz County. And so the blue lines that you see on this map will give you a general idea in terms of where best we might be able to interconnect some of those larger projects. But at this time, as we're going through this final process in the RFP process, we aren't at the point in which we can identify a specific site publicly. But again, for this commission of interest, none of those projects are in Mojave County or on public lands for that matter. This all source RFP process is going to be a continual process for us, for Unisource, to make sure that we are meeting the demand on our system. And so we do expect other large projects to come as part of our needs. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us to continue the dialogue between the county and other interested stakeholders in how we site projects. And so I welcome the opportunity to provide another update as we move forward in some of these projects. But again, really appreciate the opportunity to provide a quick update and overview in terms of where we're at Unisource. And I'll go to the next slide and open it up for questions.
Okay, great. Thank you for the presentation. Questions from the commission? Commissioner Diaz.
Hello, Mr. Eddie David Diaz. How you doing?
Good morning, Commissioner Diaz.
So I have a few questions, and please don't take them wrong. I just want to get some information. So is Unisource, who's the owner of who's your parent company, or where are they located?
Thank you, Chair Lingenfelter, Commissioner Diaz. We have a parent company that goes by the name of Fortis. That is the parent company for UNS Energy, which is then the parent for Tucson Electric Power, our sister company, and then Unisource Energy Services. I will note that, when being acquired by Fortis back in, I think it was 2018, it's a unique entity in that they are a holding company for other utilities like ourselves, like Unisource. All decisions are based locally or are made locally. So I think that's just an important note to make, that all decisions are made locally.
I'm sorry, are they a Canadian company?
They are, yes.
Okay. These renewable energy projects that are being, are they mandating that you guys do some of these projects, that you have a certain percentage of your energy that is renewable, solar, wind? Are they making you guys do that?
Chair Lingenfelter, Commissioner Diaz. As was mentioned by my counterpart at MEC, John, and I believe was discussed at earlier commission meetings, there was a renewable energy standard mandated by the commission that they have are in the process of rolling off, which was 15%. We've exceeded that 15%. We have, as mentioned earlier, we have about 20% of our portfolio that comes from renewable energy resources. There are no mandates that we operate under. We are, whenever we are building projects or, making investments in our infrastructure, we are looking at reliability and affordability. And so I mentioned the IRP earlier, and in that long-range IRP plan, we have about 38% that are identified for renewable resources, but that's also includes, natural gas and other purchased resources that we'll need to maintain the electricity to serve our customers.
Okay, just two more questions. Sure. I think you might have mentioned it earlier. I hope I didn't miss it, but. No. Is the ultimate benefactor of these projects, is it all stay in Mojave County? Is that what you said? This energy stays
Chair
in Mojave
Lingenfelter,
County?
Commissioner Diaz, good question, and mentioned it previously. You know, sometimes, well, not sometimes, electrons go where they go, and so the projects and energy that we purchase or that we own is benefiting our customers in Mojave County, and so you know, don't want to get into the weeds of energy markets, but the
I do.
energy that we procure is for the customers of Mojave County.
Okay. And one last question, sir. Thank you for your
Sure.
honesty. What are your thoughts on, or if you are you guys projecting in the future on mini nuclear, which I've heard is a really good option. But I never hear any of you energy companies talking about it personally. But what are your thoughts on that? And do you have anything projected in the future?
Absolutely. Chair Lingenfelter, Commissioner Diaz, good question. And you know, there is a lot of excitement for emerging technology, including small modular reactors, SMRs. And there have been some utilities up in Utah and Idaho that are in the very, very early stages of testing that technology. We call it, you know, serial number one, right? They're the first ones that are testing this technology. It's our belief that we don't want to be serial number one. We want to make sure that the technology is tested, that it's reliable, it's affordable, and you know, we will continue to look at those emerging technologies and see how they might be integrated into our infrastructure. It's very exciting, but again, my counterpart at MEC had mentioned it earlier this month. It's expensive, and it's getting tested, but I mean, it still has a long ways to go.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering my questions. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner Diaz. Any other questions from the commissioners? Mr. Eddy, just two questions for you.
Please.
There's a number of projects, these utility scale, utility energy projects that are proposed currently in Mojave County on federally managed lands. Does Unisource involve itself with any of those projects?
Chair Lingenfelter, good question. Short answer, no. We don't have any projects that are both in the all source RFP process or any other projects that may be going through what's called it's a different queue of projects that are requesting interconnections. None of those projects are on public lands in Mojave County. I think there's a lot of interest from our neighbors to the west for a lot of that energy development on public lands, but nothing from Unisource.
Thank you. And my last question is, there's been several mentions about the 2023 Integrated Resource Plan. Would you be available to give just a brief overview of that IRP plan?
Absolutely, Chair Lingenfelter. So it is a 15-year outlook for how we will be serving our customers in Mojave County and Santa Cruz County. And so we go through a very rigorous process that includes multiple stakeholders as well as experts in the field as to how best to analyze and identify that the needs that we have today, as well as the needs that we'll have to meet energy demand in a 15-year outlook. And so, as I'd mentioned, our current resource mix, we have about 50% purchased energy, 31% natural gas, and 20% renewable. We look at what that may be in 15 years. And so the general outlook that we see in 2038 is 30% purchased fuel or purchased energy, 32% natural gas, and 30% renewables. And so as part or in order to meet that those targets there, we will need to bring on new resources. And so that includes solar and wind. It also includes potential for natural gas and other energy storage. So we will have growing needs in our communities that we'll need to serve. And so as we go through the all source RFP process, which again is tied to the IRP, we'll be looking at projects in order to meet the demand that we have. It is a 3-year process, so we will go back in 2 years' time to update that IRP in front of the commission. So these are constantly evolving plans that, as new technology emerges and other demands emerge, we will need to relook at that plan again in 2 years' time.
Great, thank you for that.
I hope that answered your question.
It certainly did. Any other questions from the commissioners? Last call. Commissioner Martin.
I have a question. In your slide presentation, I found it interesting that in one slide you got these panels there and you got all these beautiful flowers, poppies underneath them. Then the next one you got, it looks sterile underneath. Is that a kind of a true factual representation of what you see in these projects? I mean, like I say, those look like totally different. I mean, one's got flowers and stuff growing under it, and the next one is just completely void of any kind of life there. Is that how it is?
Chair Lingenfelter, Commissioner Martin, good question. I think the picture that I had with the pretty poppies in the picture, that was at our school site at La Sanita School. And so not all landscapes are the same. And so, again, I hate going back to my counterpart at MAC, who had mentioned a few ways in which some of these areas are maintained. We have had sheep grazing some of our solar properties to maintain any growth that may be on the ground. And then, there are others that are devoid of any vegetation. We are not in the maintenance business, so to speak. We leave that to the operator of the solar facility that is operating that area. And, we don't want to be in the business of, weed prevention or landscape architecture. But, it can vary from site to site, but I guess that's the best answer I can give you.
So if I understand it, you're not involved in the maintenance facet of this thing. You're just coordinating the project itself, but you kind of sublet out the maintenance or whatever goes on as far as use of either by domestic animals or wildlife. Because what I understand is there's very little availability for use of vegetation underneath those. That ground sometimes is pretty sterile, and it's actually cleared off. So and it's fenced. So I wonder, and like I say, it's probably outside of your purview about whether, because you don't do the maintenance or any of that kind of stuff. But it's just
we want the electrons.
Just interesting to know.
Yeah. Chair Lingenfelter, Commissioner Martin, like I said, we want to make sure that we are getting the electrons from those projects so that we can serve our customers and generally are not in the maintenance business for a lot of these projects. But I will say when, we are, and typically these are developers that are building these projects and we will allow them to go through any stakeholder process or entitlement process that may be needed for those projects. But projects of our own, we want to make sure that we're working with the community. And there are times where we've engaged ranchers or other interested parties in some of these rural areas for some of our projects. But again, like I'd mentioned, we want to make sure that we're getting the output from the project and don't necessarily want to be in the maintenance business. And I hope that answers your question.
Sure. And like I say, it just, when you're on private land, if I understood this, you're not doing anything out there on public lands.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. So, that kind of on private property, I think, people have a right to develop and do things on their private property that, may not be possible or even pleasurable on public lands, converting those multiple use into single use. But your projects, as you're stating here, these are all done on private lands, and currently there's nothing in Mojave County.
You've got that correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Stricker.
Good morning, Mr. Eddy. So I'm sorry for the last couple of questions, but I have 3 questions. The first one was, and just remind me because I can't recall from the last meeting, but Unisource and MEC are partnerships. How? Or you?
Good question. Chair Lingenfelter, Commissioner Strecker. So we serve different areas of Mojave County. They are an electric co-op. We are an investor-owned utility, and there's areas of Bullhead City, and there's sort of a strip of area just east of Kingman that MEC serves, but we serve the remainder of Mojave County. We do interact with all of our utility partners throughout the state to ensure that we're coordinating on a number of fronts, whether it be on resource generation or emergency response. But there is no overlap of our service territory. But again, they're utility partners with us, just from a good community standpoint, I guess. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. Yeah, I get it. I work in hospitals, so it would be like Kingman Hospital, Bullhead Hospital,
absolutely.
so on and so forth. Gotcha.
You got it.
Okay. My second question would be, you noted that Unisource does have a natural gas power plant out in Mojave County, which does have established transmission lines. Where exactly is the power plant?
Chair Lingenfelter, Commissioner Strucker, that is, oh gosh, I had it's about 15 miles southwest of Kingman. I'm trying to think of and Penny, I may call on you, phone a friend in the audience. Do you recall the interchange?
It's right by the Griffith exit. I can say the word.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. Got it. Griffith exit, 15 miles southwest of Kingman. My last question would be I don't know if maybe as far as the 15-year outlook IRP timeline, and kind of going back to what Commissioner Diaz and Commissioner Martin had said, should there be an intentional project on public lands, what kind of notification or timeline does Unisource give the commission and the public?
Chair Lingenfelter, Commissioner Strecker, that's a good question. So, right, as part of our current all-source RP process, we don't have any projects on public lands. If we were to entertain a project that is on public lands, again, we have folks that work regularly with our local county, Mojave County, and local jurisdictions, Kingman and Lake Havasu. I may need to get back to you in terms of what notice we would provide, but again, with the public lands that are around Mojave County, there are public processes involved with siting projects on those lands, and so I would assume that would be one form of notification. But I think, as mentioned earlier, I think this is a good opportunity for us and for this commission and other commissions and the board to provide updates on our different projects or other efforts that we have through the IRP. And so I think this provides that opportunity to allow that engagement.
Okay. Yep.
Great. Mr. Eddy, And Penny, thank you for being here today. Appreciate that. We're going to move on to our next order of business. Review comments to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission opposing the preliminary permit application submitted by Gravity Storage LLC for the Red Lake Pumped Storage Hydro Project, as prepared by Development Services, going before the Board of Supervisors on Monday, August 5th, 2024. Director Holtree, is that you?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I believe last meeting, my planning and zoning manager gave you kind of a rundown of what the project is, and Director Letowski had some information on it as well. Just to give you a quick brief summary, and then we'll kind of get into the comment letter. This is a project that is being proposed just on the east side of Red Lake, and it's entirely on BLM land. The project will consist of two large reservoirs, one on near the Red Lake and then one higher up in elevation. Both are proposed to be around 26,000 acre-feet of water. The proposal is to use hydropower to generate power. Just to give you a comparison, the hydropower that's generated from the Hoover Dam is around 2,000 megawatts. The proposed project that they're looking to create here would generate upwards of around 3,000 acre-feet or 3,000 megawatts of power. The letter that you have in front of you is in response to the request for comment that we received from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. These comments, we sat down, we looked at the project, we reached out to the project developers. I'd like to thank Director Letowski and City Manager Sam Elters did a lot of reaching out and getting information. We did learn that the water source that they are proposing would come out of the Wallapai Basin. That being said, this is a project that Mojave County would not be able to support, specifically with the at-risk status of the Wallapai Basin and the INA that it's currently in. Just to give you some numbers, I believe Public Works kind of presented on it last time, but the potential of evaporation that would come from these two reservoirs could be upwards around 15,000 acre-feet a year. The developers came back to us with some different numbers, but I believe the potential is still there to lose that many acre-feet per year, and is a risk that we would be taking if this project develops. That 15,000 acre-feet is almost double what the city of Kingman uses in an annual basis. So it's something that is quite significant. So really our biggest concern with this project is the water source that they're going to be using, that it's going to be taken from an already at-risk aquifer. We also looked into or have concerns about the wildlife, the footprint of this development, what it's going to do for that area, as well as grazing rights. We also looked at, or one of the big concerns as well, is that all of this energy that's being created probably would not serve Mojave County and its residents, and would be distributed through the western transmission lines. That being said, the letter that we have in front of you today is recommending that the Federal Energy Commission denies the permit application that they received, and this is what's going to be presented to the Board of Supervisors on Monday as well. So that being said, if the commission has any changes to this letter or suggestions that you'd like to see, we'd be happy to entertain any thoughts or comments or suggestions that you have. Hopefully we could get those by tomorrow if possible. That way we come Monday we'll have those changes ready for the board. With that, I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director Holtry. I'm also going to give Director Latowski an opportunity to, is there anything that you'd like to contribute? I know that you've been working very hard on this as well, in addition to Development Services.
Yes, Chairman Lingenfelter, Commissioners, the representatives from Gravity Storage, namely Mr. David Drips, has been responsive, and they are right now positioning to offer a meeting in the not too distant future, perhaps later on in the August timeframe. Mr. Drips did share a PowerPoint presentation that did give some more information on the Red Lake project. Again, still more at a high level. And as far as our estimates, as we communicated in our response or our position letter against the FERC licensing or allowing this development to move forward, again, I must caution that all of our estimates are purely based on some empirical type analysis. Some questions for us that Gravity Storage will probably have is if we use the adequate dimensioning of the two reservoirs for our estimation. Questions for them would be in their analysis of any water loss, did they adequately take into account the desert climate and that. So, but nonetheless, I don't really have anything new to add in terms of findings.
Very good. In that case, I would open it up to the commissioners for questions, and also, as Director Holtry mentioned, this commission is a regulatory or advisory body, for the Board of Supervisors. So any comments that you'd like to have added to this letter, make sure that you get those to Mr. Holtry or Director Holtry by tomorrow. I'd open it up to questions. Mr. Martin.
I have a question. You say the data that the gravity storage people say differs as far as the transevaporation, the amount of gallons or acre feet per year. What is the difference between what the county is saying would be the amount loss versus this gravity storage company?
Chairman Lingenfelter, Commissioner Martin, in the latest PowerPoint that was provided to us, and I'll read verbatim, filling in the lower reservoir will require 21,300 acre feet, so they'll have to draw that amount of water just to fill that lower reservoir. And then they go on to say evaporation, and then there's a seepage component, which they do intend to line the reservoirs, but they're estimating approximately 1,259 acre feet annually of water loss. It's unclear whether or not that's just for the lower basin or if that's for both basins. Public Works, on the other hand, again, based on very preliminary type estimations, just from the one map that we had available to us, if we do an empirical analysis, and when I say empirical, that's just a theoretical equation-driven type analysis, we do come up with as much as the 15,000 acre feet per year. But I did do a deeper dive, and I tried to draw a relation between actual computer modeling of Lake Mead evaporation to this project, knowing that they're in relatively close proximity to each other. Then I come up with more the 3,000 to 3,500 acre feet, as per my memo, of evaporation losses. That's still sizable. 3,000 acre feet is equivalent to the amount of water that is drawn at the county's I-40 industrial park water system. So it's no small amount, but the more maximum theoretical could approach the 15,000. I would not assure without any additional modeling that would actually be the case.
So this company is disputing what the county is proposing or thinking might happen?
Commissioner Martin, I don't believe the company is actually aware of the county's estimates at this point.
Okay.
It'll probably depend on our submission of our comments.
Okay.
Thank you. Other comments? Commissioner Strecker.
For Mr. Holtry, so I guess that would be the only, and I will go home and think about it and be sure to send it over to Roxanne and Miss Laura as well. That's the only, I guess, comment or recommendation if it's not already included in our letter, but just stating that, the Board of Supervisors would like to extend an offering of a meeting to allow Mr. David Drips and Gravity Storage to come forward, and that the public would want to be involved and to hear who they are, what they are, and what their goal is for the project and how it would be beneficial to Mojave County.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Diaz.
Yeah, I think the question about beneficial to Mojave County, it says right here it's going to be out of Mojave County, so I don't think it's beneficial to Mojave County. I also think we should add in there that based on our estimates, Lake, I mentioned in the last meeting, Lake Havasu has a resident full-time population of 61,000 residents, and we actually buy from the BOR right now 14,000 acre feet. That's what we actually pay for. So that's a lot of water. That's a heck of a lot of water. And then have they told us why they're picking this area? Why don't they go to California or New Mexico, or why are they pinpointing this area?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Diaz, I am not familiar why they're picking this area. I have some guesses of why they're picking this area. One being that it's right next to the western transmission lines, and the elevation change that you see from the Red Lake up into the mountains right next to it. So I think they see it as, okay, this is a good location for both reservoirs, and we're right next to transmission lines, and that's why they
Makes sense.
they pick it.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Thank you. That's it.
Commissioner Barlow? No? All right, great. Thank you to staff for all the work that you've done. And I know this is coming before the Board of Supervisors for another update and to approve comments to send to FERC before the deadline closes on public comment. So we'll be talking about that on Monday as well. So thank you very much. Next order of business, review U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service recovery plan. Who's taking that? Is that you, Director Holtry?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I saw the email that you sent, and I tried to look at the link that was attached and tried to find any plan that they had in regards to the recovery plan that was mentioned, and I could not find it on there. And I'm not sure if they had one that I'm missing, but when I go onto the website and you go down to where the plans are supposed to be, it says there's no plans. So I do believe we would be the department that would head up any comments that we want to send to them, and we'll keep a close eye on it. But yeah, absolutely want to provide those comments.
Okay, thank you. So we don't have anything really to review this morning. Maybe when your department and perhaps the Parks Department has an opportunity to look at those plans, we can put this agenda item back on a future date, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Martin.
If I'm not mistaken, are we talking about a recovery plan for what? Tortoises
It's
or water? What is it?
yeah, Mr. Chair, I believe it's a plant. The name is escaping me.
It's a cactus-looking flowery wood-based plant, but they don't have much information on it. It's like new and newly discovered, but it is endangered. But I also could not find. I read about it. I can't pronounce the name. Please don't ask me. But I could not find also the plan. Maybe I wasn't well versed in it, but it's a new plant. It's a wood-based, flowery, cactus-looking, pink-petaled, endangered plant.
Thank you, Commissioner Stringer. Appreciate that.
Description.
So, yeah, we'll make sure that comes back to this commission when we have more information on that, if that's all right with everybody. That leads us to commissioner comments and any requests for agenda items for our next meeting in September. Commissioner Barlow.
I follow the BLM quite a bit. There's some things coming up, that public comments that I think you guys got shared for the Lake Havasu area. The other thing that's come up is the administration right now, Biden-Harris. They're focusing on more solar energy in Arizona and Nevada specifically. So we just need to keep our eye on those.
Thank you. Commissioner Diaz.
Yeah, I think maybe you stole my thunder, but Congressman Gosar on Monday, August 5th, he'll be at the Aquatic Center. He's having a Bureau of Land Management listening session. He's going to update us on the new BLM Recreation Business Plan and have your questions answered. That'll be at 3 o'clock at the Aquatic Center right off Highway 95 in Lake Havasu City. That's it.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Martin.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Strecker. All right, very good. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for everybody that's watching today, and we are adjourned.